Role players in the agricultural sector are meeting in Johannesburg on a farmers' aggregator roundtable. The gathering is organized by the Kagiso Trust in collaboration with the Agricultural Development Agency. It's looking at transformation, agricultural development and economic prosperity in the sector through various models. SABC News economics reporter Katlego Legodi is joining us live from those proceedings. A very good afternoon, Katlego. We know that the agricultural sector is a key sector in the economy and one that has great scope for potential in terms of job creation. So what are some of the key issues that are being discussed there?
A very good afternoon to you, Nompu, and to our viewers at home. Well, role players in the agricultural space really just meeting today to take stock of where the sector is, looking at that contribution to the economy. As we speak right now, we know that this particular sector contributes about 3% to the economy, and they're saying that this can be doubled, if not tripled, if these challenges that these men and women here are experiencing can be really championed, fast-tracked, and bring about solutions. So we see them gathering here very early in Johannesburg and Melrose Arch, and they're just looking at this aggregator model that they're introducing here as Kagiso Trust, and they're trying by all means to ensure that this model comes through in terms of closing those gaps where the agricultural sector is concerned. So today we hear just issues around market access being one of the issues here, support for small-scale farmers being one of the issues here. We know very well that this is coming through at a time, Nompu, when the country also has a new sheriff in town, this being the new Minister of Agriculture in John Steenhuisen, and I believe that most of the women and men that are here will be collecting these solutions so that they can take them to his table, so he comes through and work with those that have been working to champion, solutions through the agricultural sector roundtables and some of those gatherings through in Davos as well, where we see all of these emerging farmers, small-scale farmers, most of them black farmers, just coming through to try craft solutions for them. I'm going to bring our host here. This being Kagiso Trust, the CEO, is joining us this afternoon to just give us a sense of why really it's important to foster these issues of collaboration and to bring these men and women under the same table or under the same roof to discuss these issues. We hear that there's still a long way to go, but it's possible to craft those solutions where the sector is concerned. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you so much, and welcome to our session because you've been here with us this morning. Yeah, and we're very excited because I think we should never stop solutioning. We should never stop challenging ourselves to say we can do better. I think it all serves us better if we are able to unlock the value that is sitting with the land, for example, that has been released for farming. We know through land reform there's a lot of land that has been released. Many people have been complaining that that land is lying fallow, is not productive. And to be honest, in our country, we don't have a shortage of people that says we want to be farmers. And the the big question is, are the current models working for our country? I mean, we know we have a very successful commercial farming industry that is operating. Should we just be importing all the mechanisms that are working for that sector and try them in the system? The discussions today is saying that we can't take everything. There are certain things that don't work. There needs to be different kind of thinking, including aggregation. It was quite an eye-opener today to realize that aggregation, especially for, I don't want to use the word, people are not comfortable with smallholder, emerging, but until we find a different term, for emerging farmers, can we configure ourselves differently in terms of the right farming, mechanization, the appropriate, properly de-risked financing? Can we have the financiers looking at this industry differently? Because I think as the emerging farmers and smallholder farmers grow, it's to all our benefits. So the barriers that are there, I think we are saying, can't we challenge those barriers? But it's also important to have a value-based conversations. If we are talking about inclusive, can we all engage on the table to say what are we understanding? And this is not without the farmers, because I think we will be doing a very big mistake if we have these conversations without the farmers. So we are pleased. I think this is the first of its kind. We have launched it. there's valuable insights that have been shared that I think enjoins us to also look at different models of aggregations that have been put on the table and really work out a solution that we think it will work. And definitely, as Kagiso Trust and the partners, we will be engaging the minister. I think it won't serve us well that the work that we have done so far, the learnings that we have made, that we don't share and build on it. So yeah, definitely, we're looking forward to take this aggregation concept with its own nuances work for the agri-sector in the country. I mean, it's amazing that we have lessons from other countries, people who have even smaller sizes than the farmers that we've got in South Africa, who are actually in the mainstream of supplying to retail. So yes, and I think if we do that and become open-minded, we'll take agri forward in the country.
And just before we let you go, so we can bring in the farmers themselves, maybe give us a differentiator in terms of how different is agri, model, the agri model that you are calling for, different from other models that were there in the past, that you say that we've not seen them championing transformation within this sector. Just break it down for us in layman's term as to what difference are we seeing here that you're introducing going forward.
I'll give you a good example. I mean, we have learned that aggregation can be both in inputs, you can aggregate production for that matter. But let me give an example for aggregating, a concept of aggregating when we come to mechanization. Other models like that work for commercial business. They don't have to aggregate. You can own your implements, you can own your machinery. But with the smallholder farmers, for example, it doesn't make commercial sense. The balance sheet, the income statement is not able to depreciate that asset for that business to make sense. So a simple method of aggregating that input can go a long way to help this farmer not to worry about owning, but some kind of leasing. So there's different forms of aggregations that we think, if we apply our minds differently, can really help our farmers. But we need to be thinking about it. We are all comfortable with owning, but it might be it's too early for me to own. So, but if there's no concept of even aggregating those inputs, we think it's only about ownership. It works for commercial farmers, but it might not work for our smallholder farmers. So those are the examples that, as people were saying, there's a long value chain. And the chair of Kagiso Trust was saying, we really need to go into a systemic way of engaging this value chain. Think about this systemically so that we don't just solve for one issue, but we solve for the rest. So obviously there are big issues still remains. Yeah. Access to market. How do we think about it differently? Access to funding. How can we de-risk and think about it differently? Business support. I mean, an eye-opener. Some of us were only thinking about financing when a farmer goes on ground. Farmers are saying, hang on, there is pre-investment funding. And there is funding that I need when I'm on the ground, and there is post-investment funding.
I want to hear from the farmers themselves as well.
Yes.
But thank you very much for your time, CEO.
This as well. Yeah.
Really appreciated the CEO of Kagiso Trust coming through there. I'm going to bring the farmers. They're here. They were also agile in bringing about those solutions where this model is concerned. And Liakwa is joining us, a CEO in her own right, where her company is concerned. But we just more or less see you going in the space, just talking about the challenges that farmers are experiencing, and you are really in the center of these challenges. How do we find you here? How do we see this model different from what you guys have been experiencing over time?
It's been struggle after struggle, I guess, for the past 30 years. We've just all been trying to solve for the same things differently. So a platform like this is really going to make serious changes. We need to see mindsets shifting in, every single stakeholder in the industry. We can't keep doing things the same way over and over again. I mean, for the past 30 years, we're back here, we're talking about the same issues. I think now it's time that we, took a stand and implemented differently. And this is required from the government, from the private sector, from farmers on the ground. Everybody needs to just shift their mindset. It's time to engage a different gear so that we can start seeing significant changes in the industry. I mean, we can't have rural farmers that are still struggling, that are still approaching government every single year for the same type of funding, new entrants meeting up with people that have been there for 20 odd years, asking for same implements, same seeds or production inputs. So now we really honestly need to be very bold in our next moves and make serious changes. We need to take this bull by the horns, because enough is enough. We can't. We just keep going around in circles. We're not being heard, or maybe if we are being heard, nothing gets implemented after that. We see ministers coming and going, MECs coming and going. Yes, they do make a change here and there, but it's not, shaking up things in ways that are now really absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Leko, I'm wishing you everything of the best. I know very well that there's a variety of challenges that you guys outlined here on the ground, and they're hoping really, Nompu, this afternoon that those solutions would come through these engagements. And we see also various role players within agencies within the agricultural space also coming through to offer their solutions. This model, some of them have already been implemented, they've practiced, but they need a focus now, and they're saying that the aggregator model within this space of agriculture is the one that would move this entity forward. It's still here, and we're going to be engaging with some of them as well in the afternoon. Entities like your Spar Superstore is here as well. Spar has given an address as well in terms of how they're receiving these farmers, and we see them talking about taking all of this then to the Minister of Agriculture, this being Minister John Steenhuisen. It's back to you in studio for now. Nompu.
Thanks very much, my colleague there, Katlego Lekhodi. We're going to go for a quick break, and of course we'll